Hello, good evening, and welcome everyone to the Chidi Aso Takes. So today we're gonna just take a look at what we saw in the game against Charlton Athletic. That was Chelsea versus Charlton Athletic. We know that game. A few things. That was the first game for Liam Rosenior. I believe it's called Rosenior. Somebody let me know if I'm correct. But Liam Rosenior took the first game that day. Of course, we know the scoreline was 5-1. A few first for that day, Jao Hatter scored his first goal for Chelsea, and Tosin scored his first goal since the backlash. But all in all, it was a good game. It was a great win for Chelsea, and we move forward to the next round, which I believe will be facing Hull City. From what I've seen so far in the draw, we'll be facing Hull City, and of course, that used to be a club where our current manager or coach was one of the managers. All right, so in that game, his build-up was more like a 4-2-3-1, but we could see it shift occasionally between 3-4-3 or 3-2-4-1. It was always interchanging. All right, but let's look at the lineup that he had. In that lineup, he started with Achempong, Tosin Adarabioye. He had Bajashil and Hato in the defense line. And in the midfield, he had Santos and Caicedo. Then in attack, he had Garnacho, Buenanote, Jamie Gittins, and then Magui was the striker up front. So we all know that his tactical approach usually is very, very flexible. It's a flexible system and focused on dominating possession, building from the back with short passes. Basically, what we've seen so far under Enzo Maresca. And of course, he always emphasizes energetic, high pressure to win the ball back quickly. And that's why if you look at the game, Chelsea was always getting the ball right after they lost it. Now, fine, is Charlton Athletic, maybe they are not as good as, say, an Arsenal or Manchester City, who do the same high press, okay, and try to recover the ball back. But in this game, we could see what he clearly wanted to do. So his teams are always front footed and brave in their approach. So, what are those key elements? What are those key elements that he used? Number one, it was fluidity in the formation. He usually, even at Strasbourg, we've seen how his formation is sometimes. He likes to use back three sometimes. And if you've seen some people try to analyze with the visuals, which I don't have, so forgive me, just go with the flow. Sometimes when he has three players in the back, the goalkeeper always come out to be the fourth person in the lineup. So they can always have that four back line, especially when they are pressing forward. And what that does is allow the goalkeeper not just to be an extra man, but to kind of draw the other attackers to him or the other sides. So they it's usually a 3-4-2-1 or 3-4-3 formation, and that is the way to adapt to the opponents and the kind of game situation. And then in possession, most of the time is 3-2-5 to create central overloads. All right. Now, when it comes to the build up, okay, what do we want to do? Let's build up. He kind of emphasizes on control through possession. We saw that during the game. He likes to, I think these two managers, Enzo and Liam, they are kind of almost the same, but not similar. I don't know if you understand this, but so for him, he's emphasis on control through possession, okay, using quick short passes. And if you notice in that game, Santos and Caicedo, they were always close by. They were always close together and they were able to do those quick short passes even starting from the back. And the goalkeeper, like I said, sometimes usually involved in that auxiliary back line. So it to turn from a three to a four. And we also did see Hato come in to help in the defense, especially when we are trying to press higher. Okay. And then the central possession, when it comes to that, his sides, they like to work the ball through the heart of the pitch, which means what they're trying to do at that time is draw the opposition. Okay. And then they try to quickly exploit the centers that have been created out wide. Well, we're going to be hearing more about wing backs this time around because what he wants them to do is always position themselves high and wide. If you look at Ganacho, and I think it was Jimmy Gittins, they were always high and at the wider side of the field, and they always got the ball most of the time. Now, in that game, we saw that Gittins, he got the ball a lot of time, and um, he used the space that he has to try to dribble his man. It didn't work out so much for Ganacho. Maybe that's what's something they have to look on, or use a different player in this approach. It worked for Pedro Neto when he came in. So I think one of the ways he can do is just change the player. All right. And then let's see. The next one is high pressing, which is even when they were out of possession, they were always trying to press as high as possible. Now, yes, it was Charlton Athletic they were playing, but did you see any time that we lost the ball in the midfield? You had Garnacho, Gittins, and Buonete, they were always going after the player with the ball because we could do that, knowing well that remember the two defensive midfielders were always together, so that would have helped them, and that allowed the front three or the front four to do the pressing. Gui was always pressing, every single time. And the goalkeeper had to either kick the ball out or the defender had to kick the ball out. And then we won the ball back again. So that's why we had a lot of high uh, possession. And then there's also this approach that he does, which is called the player oriented approach. Uh, while having a clear philosophy, I think Rosenior, he has also stated the importance of adapting the system to the players available to him. Now, you could say during Maresca time, he was always talking about, oh, we don't have this player available. We can use what we have. And what Liam has been saying is that yes, he understands that there could be players that may not be available, but we have to try and use what we have. Okay, and that's a different mindset about him. He's talking about, and I don't know if you guys have seen some of the like the press conference he had today. This guy, I love his mentality. I love the way he's speaking. He sounds so, some people say he's arrogant, but he's just so confident. And I really hope it works out. I really hope it works out because, again, it was Simon Jordan that I heard on Talk Sports. He said that Chelsea have actually been looking at him for over 17 months. All right. Over 17 months, they've been watching him, and that's why they have him all over there at Strasbourg. So they know his capabilities. And he has been saying the same thing. He knows what he's capable of. And he was just looking for the opportunity. He even said in the press conference that this is one opportunity that I've been waiting for, and the opportunity to show people what I can do. So you never know. Okay, you never know what could happen, but I really hope it works out for him because his mentality is all about winning, winning. He says that every single time in the press conference. Okay, so yeah, the game 5-1 victory against Charlton is going to be a different thing against Arsenal. Now, with Arsenal, I think he's probably going to do the same type of approach. Of course, with different players, we're gonna hopefully we have Cole Palmer, fit to play, but he's gonna have probably he's gonna start with Esteval, but he's gonna have Reece James back, Cucurella is back, Caicedo we know he's not gonna be playing, Enzo Fernandez is gonna play. These are the senior players now with who are a little bit better. All right, so he's probably going to have the same philosophy or core philosophy approach against Arsenal. But he also talked about mentality and having and making sure the players focus on the game, always talking about high spirit, the energy, and the winning mentality in terms of basic duels. You know, when you are man to man, don't let your man beat you. You know, where I come from in Nigeria, we have a term when we say, don't no let him, no let him, don't let him pass you. Or some people will say kusibe, that means you must bury yourself right there. Instead of you letting your man beat you, you stick with him. All right. So that's all about the fighting energy. When you see the other players are playing hard, you give them the same energy. All right. But we've seen in some games that when Chelsea is playing, the other team is pushing, pushing. We are kind of like a bicycle in the approach, or we lose concentration. So he's talking about making sure we have that mental focus. All right. And keeping ourselves energy level high throughout the game. And of course, defensive adaptations could be under issue. Even when we were dominating possession, uh, we should also consider that this is Charlton, and perhaps maybe not as bigger club as Arsenal, and they might be approaching the game a little bit differently more than Charlton. So we just gotta watch out for what they could do, because Arsenal is probably one of the best, if not the best, team in Europe right now. So it will be a much greater offense, offensive threat, especially from set pieces, which he also acknowledged. That's the difference with him and Maresca. With Maresca, when he was told about the set piece, he said he always talks about he's not worried about that, or that is not something that he is always trying to look out for. I think the former coach for Tottenham, he also used to say the same thing. He didn't care, and he kept on losing through set piece. But yeah, we know when it comes to Arsenal, they're a set piece threat, and this coach is saying he's aware of it, and they've been, working as since day one on this particular game coming up against Arsenal. Oh God, help me! I hope you don't concentrate only on the Arsenal game and forget other games. But I think the kind of person he is, he's taking it game by game. And again, I really hope things work out for him, because I wanted to. We've had a lot of coaches, and we keep on changing coaches. There's no stability. Look at the Arsenal coach now. He's been with them for 6 years. Arteta has been given the hand, given the platform, and allowed to do the job, and that's why he's been able to build this solid team for the past 6 years. Now, they had the same issue in the beginning, but they followed through. They trusted him. Okay, trust the process. All right. Well, the Chelsea owners didn't trust their own process, because we know they're the ones that hired Maresca. But so let's just leave it at that. Okay. So another thing that Chelsea has to worry about when it comes to Arsenal is being clinical. Take your chances. Take your chances. And in his press conference, he talked about, he noted the areas for improvements, which includes finishing the ball. So I'm not sure if you guys ever noticed, sometimes some of our wingers, they hardly have shots on goal, or it will go too high, or when they cross the ball, it's not as effective as, say, if a Reece James crosses the ball. That is something the wingers have to change, because we've paid money for a lot of these wingers. But when it comes to crossing the ball, having someone nodding the ball, we hardly have that. Okay. So we need to take our chances against Arsenal, because it's not going to be an easy game. It's not going to be an easy game, but I think tactically, Liam Rosenior knows exactly what he wants, and I think has a good idea who is going to be picking up for his team. He did mention that tomorrow, in the next couple of days, they're going to assess a few players and then find out who will be playing. But honestly, I'm excited for him, and I think all the players they want to show that they should be picked, especially those who didn't play during Enzo Maresca's time because he didn't have you know he didn't have faith in them, and he didn't have faith in them even if they were clearly the best person for their own position, but Maresca uses somebody else for their position. So that was something else. His selection sometimes was crazy. But the game against Arsenal is going to be tough, and I really think we might come out with a win on this one. I hope we do. I think we should, and I think we will. And then we go for the second leg at the Emirates. So again, this game, second game for Liam Rosenior. We can't wait to see what he has. The Chelsea fans are begging, looking, asking for a win. And if this coach can provide this much needed win against Arsenal, maybe we can build upon that going forward and see the next game against Brentford. Maybe we'll start talking about, you know, top four again. Because right now, since Mariska left, it's been kind of downcast and low. Chelsea fans have not been in a good spirit. But that win against Charlton kind of lifted us up. So let's take the momentum going forward and hopefully we get a win. So, but let me know what you guys think about all this in the comment section. And once again, thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, please do me a favor and subscribe, okay? And enjoy your evening.